Assalamu alaikum. My name is Nur Fatima, and today we will start the new chapter, Oliver Twist, and we will do the question answers first. Means we will do the while reading, we will do the question answers. Okay. First, let's read the question answers, and we will find the answers also. Sorry. Yes. Chapter number 2, short question answers. Who was Mr. Gramfield? Why was he refused the custody of Oliver? Now we have to find who was Gramfield. Okay, let's start the reading. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So, chapter name, At the Undertaker's Place. Chapter 2. Let's start. One morning, a chimney sweep, Mr. Gramfield, happened to read the notice about Oliver Twist. He was passing the workhouse. With his donkey. He got tempered because £5 was just the amount he needed. He thought he would pocket the money and use the boy to clean chimney. His proposal to take away Oliver to work in the chimney sweeping business was considered by the members of the board. Mr. Bumble, however, offered only £3 to Mr. Gramfield, for his business was not a nice one. Many young boys were known to have been burned to death while cleaning the chimneys. When Oliver learned about his transfer to a new place, he began to sob and cry. Mr. Bumble took him to the magistrate for legal permission. He advised Oliver to show his willingness to become a chimney sweep. Oliver promised to do as he was told, for he was in great fear of punishment. Before the magistrate, Oliver burst into tears. "My boy," said the magistrate, "you look pale and afraid. Tell me what is the matter." Oliver fell on his knees. He gasped in his hand and begged that he be killed rather than he be sent with Mr. Gramfield. The chimney sweep. Mr. Gramfield was the chimney field sweep. Okay. Now, who was Gramfield? Mr. Gramfield was the chimney sweep. Okay. And why was he refused the custody of Oliver? Because he grasped his hand and begged to the magistrate that magistrate, and then the magistrate was moved. He refused to allow the boy to be sent away the chimney sweep. Okay, page number 11 and 12. Okay. Now, Mr. Bumble was ordered to take Oliver back to the workhouse and treat it well. The gentleman running the workhouse was very hungry. A new notice was put up for the sale of Oliver for a sum of £5. Nobody turned up to buy Oliver. Mr. Bumble made inquiries if Oliver could be sent to the sea as a cabin boy in some ship. One day, Mr. Bumble met Mr. Sowerberry, the undertaker one who would provide coffin for the dead. Mr. Sowerberry was a tall, thin man having a pliant nature. Mr. Bumble asked him, "By the way, you don't know anyone who would take the boy, do you?" Mr. Sowerberry said in an excited tone. Wait, we didn't did the question number 2. Yes. Why did Mr. Sowerberry buy Oliver? Mr. Sowerberry helped the poor so much. That's why Mr. Sowerberry buy Oliver. Okay. My goodness, that's just I wanted to talk. I think I will take the boy myself. After all, I helped the poor so much. Mr. Bumble took the undertaker to meet the gentleman of the board at once. At the board at once, it decided to take accepted it decided It was decided to accept the proposal of Mr. Sowerberry. It was made clear to Oliver that if his master found him useful, he would have him for a period of 6 years for any job he liked. He was also warned that if he came back again, he would be sent to the sea or drowned or killed. Mr. Bumble saw tears in Oliver's eyes when with disgust he said, "Oliver, I think you're the most ungrateful boy I've ever seen." "No, no, sir," said Oliver, sobbing. "I'll be good. I will, sir. Only I feel as lonely. Everybody hates me." Mr. Bumble was a bit surprised, but he said nothing. He took Oliver to Mr. Sowerberry's house. Oliver was not happy, for he was certain that he would be hated here too. Mrs. Sowerberry was a short, thin woman with wicked expression on her face. On seeing Oliver, she said, "Oh, that's the boy, is it?" he said. "He is very small." "Well, he is small, but he'll grow, Mrs. Sowerberry did not seem to be happy. She pushed Oliver down the stairs to a kitchen. She asked the girl Charlotte to give him a piece of meat kept for their dog. Oliver's eyes shone as he heard the mention of meat. He ate the meat with relish. Oliver's new mistress then took him upstairs and said, "Your bed is here in the shop. You don't mind sleeping among the coffin, I suppose, but you have nowhere to sleep." When Oliver was left alone, he looked around and felt very fearful. There were rows of wooden boards against the wall. One of the coffins looked very gloomy and death-like. The whole shop smelled of coffins. He felt very depressed as he crept into the narrow bed. In the morning, a loud kicking at the outside of shop door awakened him abruptly. When he opened the door, he saw a big boy who looked very aggressive and threatening. "I suppose you're the new boy, aren't you?" he said. "You don't know who I am." "No, sir, I'm no Claypole, and you're going to work under me and open the windows at once, you lazy ruffian." Oliver opened the windows. The no was served at the table, a nice piece of bacon from the master's breakfast. Oliver ate tall pieces of bread, shivering in a corner of the room. No was a charity boy, and not an orphan like Oliver. He knew his parents father was a drunken soldier, while his mother was a fisher woman. He had to work at the undertaker's because his parents could not afford to keep him. The other shop boys used to call him names, for he did not live with his parents, nor did not reacted to what they said for him. No, he found a good Now he found a good opportunity to take revenge by ridiculing and ill-treating Oliver, and he never missed a chance to belittle him. He would call him workhouse to remind him that he was without parents. Mr. Sowerberry took interest in Oliver. After Oliver had worked for 3 weeks at his shop, he decided to take him wherever he wanted as his assistant. Once Mr. Sowerberry was asked to arrange the funeral of a lady. Oliver put on cap and "Come with me," said the undertaker. Oliver did. He was tall, but both of them walked through narrow, dirty streets and reached the Brayton's residence. A terrible smell was coming. A man sat in one corner while some ragged children sat in another corner. The dead bodies, covered with a blanket, lay on the ground. Mr. Sowerberry took the measurements of the body with his tape and told the man that he would come with the coffin in the next day. The next day, the dead bodies of the lady was buried in the churchyard with the help of four bearers brought by Mr. Bumble. As it was raining heavily, sorry, it was raining heavily. The priest came late, and funeral was a short, casual affair. On the way home, Mr. Sowerberry asked Oliver, "Well, Oliver, how did you like it?" "Pretty well, thank you, sir," replied Oliver in a hesitating manner, and added, "Not very much, sir." "Oh, you'll get used to it," said the undertaker. After a month, Oliver became quite experienced in the trade. Now, no, however, continued to tease and ill-treat him. Mrs. Sowerberry and Charlotte were also quite rude to him. One day Noah pulled Oliver's hair and twitched his ears. Oliver did not cry, as was expected. So Noah asked Oliver about his mother. Oliver said that his mother was dead. Noah was particularly in a nasty mood. He said, "Workhouse, your mother was not a nice woman. She was in fact a bad woman." "What did you say?" I said, "Your mother was a bad woman. It's good she died, or else she would have been in jail." Mad with anger, Oliver held Noah by the throat and threw him in the ground very heavily. Okay, now question number 3, our last question of the short questions. Why was Oliver locked up in a coal cellar? Because the Noah made fun of Oliver's mother, and then we'll write this. And then, help, Charlotte, Mrs. Oliver is killing me. No, cried No. Charlotte and Mrs. Sowerberry came. "Oh, you ungrateful murderer," said Charlotte, seizing Oliver and beating him hard. Mrs. Sowerberry scratched Oliver's face. We will not write this, I'm just reading. That I have underlined, we will write that. Then Oliver was then dragged into the coal cellar and locked up. That's why he was locked. Just here we will write, okay? Now the next. Okay, so Mrs. Sowerberry fell back into a chair and burst into tears. "What is to be done now? The master is not home," she asked Charlotte. Shall we call the police? Charlotte suggested. No, run to the Mr. Mumble. No, and tell him to come here at once, said Mrs. Sowerberry. No, reached the workhouse and met Mr. Bumble. Mr. Bumble, said No. Oliver tried to murder me, then Charlotte, and then Mr. Bumble and Nom hurried to Mr. Sowerberry shop. Mr. Bumble went down to the coal cellar but did not dare to enter it. He was afraid of Oliver's murderous behavior. Oliver, shouted Mr. Bumble throughout the keyhole, do you know who I am? Yes, replied Oliver. Aren't you afraid of me? No, said Oliver boldly. Mr. Bumble was surprised. He turned and stared at the others. Oliver must have gone mad, said Mrs. Sowerberry. It's not madness, it's meat. It's not madness, it's meat. You've offer-fed him. Oh, so one should not be generous? Let the boy remain in the cellar for a day or two. Don't give him anything to eat, said Mr. Bumble. Don't give him anything to eat, said Mr. Bumble. Mr. Sowerberry came at the moment. Oliver was pulled out of the cellar. His dress was torn because of beating, and his face was bruised, but he was not repentant. So Mr. Sowerberry said, "You're a nice fellow, aren't you? He abused my mother first," replied Oliver. What does it matter?" said Mr. Sowerberry. She deserved what she said and worse. She didn't, shouted Oliver. Mrs. Sowerberry burst into tears at the boy's insolence. Mr. Sowerberry gave Oliver hard beating. Mr. Bumble, too, used his can to teach him a lesson. When Oliver was left alone, he wept bitterly. Then he looked round him. He gently opened the door and came out. It was a cold, dark night. Softly closed the door and tied up in his clothes and handkerchief. He sat down quietly on the bench and waited for the morning. When he was dawning, Oliver came out in the street. He was uncertain about which way to go, but he continued walking. He wrote when that he followed took him to Mrs. Mann's cottage. He decided to shop at the house for a while. It was quite early and no one was inside. A child was weeding a bed in the garden. Oliver recognized as the one of his friend Dick. Dick too recognized Oliver. When he rushed to Oliver said, "Hush, Dick, don't speak. And is anyone up?" "No one," said Dick. "Don't tell anyone that I am here," said Oliver. "I am running away and they beat me and abuse me. I am going far away to seek my fortune. How pale and weak you look." "I heard the doctor say I would die soon," said Dick. "I am happy to see you live, Oliver, but don't stop here." "Yes, I am going, but I bid you goodbye, Dick," said Oliver. "I shall see you again, Dick. You'll be well and happy." "I hope so, but I have a feeling that I'll die." Kiss me," said Dick. Dick put his little arm and around Oliver's neck and said, "Goodbye, God bless you." Someone had blessed Oliver for the first time in his life, and he never forget it in all his life. Okay, so thank you. And Oliver Twist chapter number 2 has been also done, and please like, share and subscribe my channel, and thank you. Allah Hafiz.